I'm Tabitha Rock.
And I'm Sam Davenport.
Born and bred in Melbourne, we live and breathe property, and we know the Melbourne market like the back of our hand. We've both been buying and selling real estate in Metro Melbourne for over 2 decades combined, and we've learned a few lessons along the way.
We are here.
We are back. Property Culture Podcast.
Love it. And we have actually been talking more and more about apartments. I mean, we seem to be buying more houses than apartments of late for clients. I just feel like we seem to be moving more into that, young couple buying the family home sort of space, but I still love an apartment buyer. I still love helping people get onto the property ladder and, but I understand that, we're expensive. We're worth it. But we're expensive, some might say. And I think if you've been scrimping and saving for your deposit, you might find it hard sometimes to afford us. So we wanted to give you some key takeaways of how to not F up buying an apartment, because you can.
Yeah.
And we see it time and time again. We saw it when we were selling agents. I hear about it now as just a friend of people.
Yeah.
These hideous stories of huge levies and can't get rid of their apartment because there's another 10 up for sale in the block at the same time. It was this investment property that they had grand plans for, they're 20 buying an apartment and they're like, we'll keep it until we retire so we can move into it,
Yes.
It's like, whoa, that's like 80 years down the track. Why are we like thinking about
I know.
an apartment? But I mean, the fact of the matter is that's a lot of how people get into the market and learn what they're doing when they're buying real estate.
Yeah.
And so I think that you can do it really well and you can do it really poorly. I mean, I think we did some calculations on that first apartment that I bought in Collingwood. I held it for 7 years. I actually had a 3% compounding capital growth rate. But then the next owners that held it for the same time only had a 1% compounding capital growth increase. So, I mean, sometimes it just does come down to market and timing and things, but sometimes you really can manufacture that increase in price. I mean, we just saw that in an apartment. We wrote a blog about that in Northcote where they bought it for like $550, this like shitty little 70s flat, unrenovated, put probably $150 into it and found a sort of $250,000, $300,000 increase over 4 years, which for this 70s flat that doesn't have outdoor area was incredible.
Mental.
I actually said in the blog, wow, you can still make money buying pretty poor real estate, because we would see this 70s block that we're talking about didn't have outdoor area. It was actually next to quite a main, arterial, and it was very small, but they still saw this upswing. So I think, but there was a few of what we're going to mention in our key takeaways of how to not F up buying an apartment. They still ticked quite a lot of these boxes.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's why I think they were able to do this, and also great photography by Nelson Alexander. Well done. You have that buying into the lifestyle thing really down pat in the north.
It's and I think we talk about buying apartments a lot, even though we don't necessarily transact a lot of apartments because of exactly the reasons you've just said, which is largely due to the percentage of the, savings that you've just put together and scrimped for and now to sort of get someone else involved. But that's why we do love to talk about it so freely, is because we want to help younger first home buyers get into the market in a way in which is going to be beneficial to them in the future. What is the point in buying something that's going to, go down in value? Obviously, the whole idea is that it's going to set you up for your next thing. So how to buy a property, how to buy an apartment that's going to do well for you, we have some critical key factors in which we like to abide by.
Yeah. And ultimately when we buy for clients, I mean, it's their decision. I've often bought a property on a main road and I said this isn't great, but they want it, they love it. And it's for lifestyle. It's not for wealth creation.
Working out the why is always your first point of call. Season 1, episode 1. Yeah. Work out your why. Why are you buying?
Goals.
And 80% of the time when I'm talking to people who are buying apartments, apartments, it is majorly due to lifestyle factors. Also, housing security. Like the rental market now is mental. And a lot of people who are renting property in an inner city in Melbourne are in a position where they absolutely could buy the apartment they're renting.
But please contact a mortgage broker or banker to have this discussion, because I speak to so many people and they're like, nah, I've only got 50 grand.
I
know.
know.
And I'm like, just have the call with them. Say, okay, well, I've only got 50. What do I need to get to? Put some goals in place. Or maybe 50 is enough.
Yeah.
Maybe you can buy 100%. I don't know. Maybe you're a nurse. Don't they get around the laws, or an accountant or something?
Yeah.
The lender's mortgage insurance stuff.
And also, if you're a lower income earner, in that you earn, not low income earner, lower than 130 or 120K, then you've got government concessions that come into play at those levels. Like,
you've got stamp duty savings.
You've got all sorts of stuff that that is at your fingertips.
I mean, don't be wooed though by government incentives. Don't be blind to why they're incentivizing you. The number of people that are like, I'm going to buy off the plan because then I don't have to pay X, Y, and Z. I'm like, yeah, cool. That's really going to hurt you in the future. The only person that's making money out of that one is a developer. But anyway, let's get stuck into it. One key piece of advice is try and buy in smaller blocks, in more boutique blocks. And the reason for that is obviously less neighbours and less controversy at AGMs and things, but also that supply and demand. So, if we've only got a limited supply in that block, say a block of 10, then you're less likely to be up against another apartment in that block for sale. And then the only thing you can differentiate is price. So if you're in a block of 100, 120, 50, 200, I'm pretty confident when you go to sell or when you go to rent, you'll be competing against 1, 2, 3, 4 more apartments.
Exactly.
So you don't want that. You want to buy in smaller blocks, supply and demand, like less supply equals increased demand. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And buying in high density buildings often opens you up to a slew of other issues that involve body corporate, car stackers, et cetera, et cetera. So when you buy in a low density building, generally speaking, it comes hand in hand with low maintenance, low body corporate fees, lower number of other owners, obviously, that you're dealing with in a body corporate, and a drive-in car space. Whereas when you're dealing with larger blocks, very often you're dealing with car stackers and
lifts.
We have seen lifts, pools, everything.
Lifts.
The lifts and look, in older buildings that have amazing capital growth potential, they have a lift, sometimes. Sometimes. But very rarely will they have a car stacker.
Oh, God. Have I told this story on the podcast that I had a friend that had a unit in Richmond? Maybe I have, that had the car stacker that then didn't work and they had to just take it out. So, it became a problem when they were about to go camping, had all the stuff in the car and it got stuck elevated. They couldn't get into the car. But then apart from that, the car stacker company went broke and they had to actually just remove their car park and just sell without a car park.
I just sold
you're buying
the property.
You're buying air.
You're buying airspace. Didn't anyone ever teach you can't own airspace?
Oh, no, you can buy airspace.
Yeah, you can buy airspace.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. No, but the problem is that you're at the peril of the machine. I don't know what's going to happen.
The peril of the machine.
So this is where I just sold for our client in West Melbourne. So she had bought off the plan before we were in existence. She'd bought off the plan and it had a car stacker, and she'd done what she thought was the right thing. She was in the oldest part of the original warehouse conversion. She had it was beautiful. I agree. It had a nice vaulted ceiling. It had a lot going for it. It had a car stacker. About 2 years after she moved in, car stacker went kaput. Never to be reinstated again. Years ago. That's 7 years ago.
Wow.
They were in and out of court with the company, with the builder, with this, everyone. It's huge amounts of money to fix them. So everyone's trying to point to the other person because no one wants to take responsibility for that.
Nightmare.
Yeah. So then when we sold her apartment, we had to sell it with zero car space icon because there isn't one. And then you say to the buyers, like, look, here's the situation.
You're in West Melbourne. You don't need a car. Who's got a car?
Oh, my God. That's literally what we said. But it was like, our car space in inner city Melbourne is worth $100K.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a
as you
huge
get further
loss.
out, obviously it's less.
Less,
Like,
yeah.
so we're saying in sort of Richmond, South Yarra, it's about 50.
Yeah.
But do not buy an apartment with a car stacker. It's so funny. It's one of the first, if we're looking for an apartment buyer and they're happy to sort of look a little bit newer, it's one of the first questions I ask when I, not even the body corporate fees. It's, hey, what's the car
space
situation?
Yeah, totally.
But any property sort of newer than like built 2020 onwards, you definitely need to ask that question. Anything early, I think you're all right.
Yeah, they sort of, and that's the problem is that it's newer technology.
Yeah. And it's so funny the lines that agents will say about the Rolls Royce.
It's the Rolls Royce of the stackers.
Yeah.
I think that's like, no, I was going to use some sort of analogy about
I love your analogies. Give it to me. But anyway,
I can't think of it.
I mean, we think you really should look to buy an apartment with outdoor area. Whilst, you might not be able to swing a cat on the balcony, at least it's got outdoor space.
Yeah.
I mean, do you use it? Do you not? Is it just for your barbecue to get cobwebs? Maybe.
Or is it just for your air conditioning unit?
Oh, yeah, true. Although you can get
you need it.
Yeah, you need
you need that.
Apartments with outdoor area definitely perform better
100%
than apartments without.
Off-street car park, outdoor area, must-haves. Doesn't matter if it's, and oftentimes you'll see on obviously the 60s, 70s, 50s blocks, and a lot of deco apartments don't have an outdoor area. They're a little bit of an exception to the rule.
They often don't have a car park on title. They might have it on a 99-year lease.
They're probably a company share.
Oh, God, that's not a whole other, don't buy company share.
But it's, even if the outdoor area is small, you have a private door in which you can open to your private outdoor area, airflow, enjoyment, livability, da-da-da-da-da. It's all of these reasons why it's a tick the box, because when you go to sell it, every buyer who's in the apartment market, on their list of things or likes or must-haves or wants or needs, on that list is an outdoor area. So you are eliminating a huge chunk of potential buyers by not having the outdoor space, even though you might be cool with it.
It's so funny. I was recently looking for a client that was wanting a ground floor apartment due to some health issues. And we were saying like, gosh, why isn't there a ground floor filter?
Yes.
And yes, you can put it in the search description, but oftentimes I won't put ground floor, but it's the same with a balcony or outdoor space. Like, damn it, why isn't there a little tick box? But critical for just resale, general livability. They just perform a lot better. So try and add that to your list, even though you're not fussed and don't need an outdoor area. For resale, pretty important.
And that's all of our conversations are all based on that. The number of people, I'm happy to be next to the primary school. Yes, I understand. That's fine. And if you do want to buy it, we will help you. However, it does minimize your future buyer pool. And that's the whole reason why we don't buy what we would consider compromised property. Another big compromise with apartment blocks, and something to really watch out for, which is so easy to find out and so easy to walk away from, is impending levies in the body corporate. So say, for example, I mean, there's a 1,000,001 examples of this, but there's one that I looked at the other day on the beach in St Kilda. Great apartment, massive, so good, outdoor area, drive-in car space. It is a big block, but they're big down there in general. It's an older style block. Anyway, 2 lifts, both need replacing. Gone. Oof. And it's like hundreds of thousands. Plus on top of that, there's like a water issue happening that's trickling down through the windows on the outside of the northern side of the building. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And they can't even work out what the problem is, but everyone's apartment is bubbling on the inside. And it's just like, just run. Yeah. Run from that. Yeah. You just don't need that in your life.
You don't, because I think that whilst they might have quotes, like how you find these levies out is in the contract, there'll be AGM minutes, and often they're mentioning in there that, works, roof of replacements, cladding, balcony replacements, lift replacements, whatever it may be. But, they've got quotes there maybe from 12 months ago. Okay, double that now in this day and age. So just be really careful when you think the levy's only going to be 10 grand per lot. It might actually get up to sort of close to double that.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, which I don't have on the key takeaways, but we should include it, is don't dismiss a building and pest inspection on an apartment, getting that done, because I recently looked at an apartment for a client in Ashwood, and there was an older lady and us who were the two interested parties, and I guarantee you that lady did not get a building and pest inspection, and we did. And it showed that the bathroom actually needed to be replaced. Like the shower was massively leaking, needed to be replaced. Also the balcony needed to be replaced, and there was massive leak issues, and you could see sort of like the calcium dripping or whatever it's called, the white stuff. And I said to my client, look, these can be deal breakers for some people, or we can just factor in replacement of those somewhat.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, the AGM minutes didn't show that the balconies needed to be replaced. So I think the takeaway there is just get the building and pest inspection to go into it eyes wide open. They will be able to tell you, hey, there's problems with the balcony. And so you have that information even if it's not in the contract.
Exactly.
Like that woman doesn't know, like she paid over the top end of the quote. We came in the middle of the quote knowing we needed to do a new shower. Yeah. And I said to my client, like, expect a levy for the balcony, and it's not going to fall off the side of the property anytime soon. But in the next 5-7 years of ownership, expect maybe a 10-15 grand levy. Yeah. And he was comfortable with that. But it's just all these things that go into it eyes wide open.
Oh, and don't fall in love with anything until you have read the AGM minutes. And oftentimes, if I'm buying an apartment, I oftentimes will request a copy of the contract before I inspect, because if there's levies, I'm not even going to inspect it because we're not going to buy it. So in trying to obviously save our time and our clients' time as well, and not getting involved in things that aren't actually options. One of the things we check before inspection is AGM minutes. So do not inspect, do not think about it, do not get, your mum to come and have a look at it. Do not talk to your partner about it until you know that it is a clean contract. Have a look at it. It's so easy to read. It's literally a meeting.
I've just actually thought of such a hot tip for the listeners. So with this particular apartment, we actually didn't have the contract. And they were like, it's been ordered. Often the owner's corporation certificate takes weeks. Yet smart me was like, there's another one for sale in the block. Contacted that agent and requested a copy of the contract.
Nice.
And the AGM minutes will be exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
So, if the agent is saying, hey, we don't have a contract yet, just double check. Has there been any recently sold properties even? And just contact that agent. Hey, can I have a blank copy of the contract? I just want to check
the minutes.
Yeah. And they often will. Like the good ones will.
Yeah, because they know what you're doing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're not trying to mess around.
I think that's a goodie.
That's a good tip.
And obviously, I think we do harp on this a bit, but try and buy older.
Yeah.
Not old necessarily.
Doesn't have to be super old.
We bought apartments in the 2000s, but I'm looking at one in Ashburton at the moment, and it's a boutique block. Yes, it's on a main road, but I'm at the rear of the block. There's normal car parks. There's no problems in the AGM. It's well looked after block. But it stood the test of time, and we can sort of see how it's handling weather. And I think that's why we like not buying brand new, because you just don't know the faults yet.
The teething issues of a new property have been dealt with by someone else, and you're coming in to see like what are the real issues, if any. And ideally there's none. But of course there are often building issues. Like that's sort of part and parcel with buying property. It's not it's not no maintenance. It's either low maintenance or high maintenance, but it's maintenance.
Oh, great point. Yeah. That's with houses as well. People are like, oh my gosh, the maintenance on this house. I'm like, it's 100 years old.
Yeah. It's wood.
Yeah.
And it's 100 years old and it's just standing out there fearing for its life. Like, give it a bloody...
Copping the Melbourne bloody weather.
Yeah.
49
just water
seasons.
smashing on it for 6 months of the year. Like, what do you reckon is going to happen?
Oh my God. But okay, so I think we've covered a lot. So buy in smaller blocks, ideally less than probably 30 odd. Avoid a car stacker like the plague.
Mm-hmm.
Try and get an apartment with an outdoor area, even if it's tiny, just to tick that box for resale will be great. Check the AGM minutes, make sure there's no massive levies, and get a building and pest inspection, even old, new, in between. Building and pest inspections on apartments is advised. Try and buy slightly older, and I think that's it. Isn't it?
And don't fall in love with it until you've checked the AGM minutes.
Yeah, that one. Because,
Yeah.
Oh, the number of times I've got friends looking and they just send me this link like, what do you think of this apartment? And I'm like.
Yeah, that's me. I do that to you now.
I'm like, okay, well, there's a little bit more to it.
I know.
Anyway.
But do you like the vibes?
Yeah. Do you like the vibes?
Do you like the vibes?
Oh, I'll tell you vibes that I did like. I recently purchased a property in Princess Hill for a client. We've been looking for several months. She was first thinking over in South Yarra. We did do a quick change back to the inner north, sort of around Carlton, Fitzroy, that sort of area. Obviously, we were looking for older style, 70s block, 2 bedrooms, outdoor area, blah, blah, blah.
Tick, 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 tick,
tick, tick, tick, tick, tick, tick, tick, small block.
Yeah.
And then finally found the most amazing off-market property. I was so happy. I was almost jumping out of my skin for her. But like, you can't seem too excited because obviously it's their decision. But I was like,
This is it.
This is amazing. I want to buy this property. It was north facing, not overlooked. It was like a beautiful block, great wide street in Princess Hill. I was like, we have found it. And the kitchen wasn't too renovated, but not too unrenovated. She could totally like live in it and enjoy it for a while. But I just saw like, put kind of like the Northcote analogy, put $100,000 into this. You'll be making $250.
Yeah.
You'll be talking to me in 3 years' time after having your amazing lifestyle in Princess Hill, and then we're going to be buying you a little house.
Exactly.
And you're going to just be
Stepping
so happy.
stone.
Yeah. And yeah, I actually just reached out to her recently to tell her about how she should renovate it, and she because of this Northcote sale actually.
Yeah.
And she sent me the cutest message. She's like, few tweaks, painting, lighting, and it looks so bloody good, much more open and light and functional. What else? She's like, feel so lucky to have found it. Love it more every day. And then an apartment around the corner went for well over what she paid. And so now she knows how much she's going to make.
Love it.
So, yeah.
And that's the thing, you know, don't sleep on apartments when it comes to getting into the market. It can be a stepping stone, the stepping stone you need.
Yeah.
And I think that now with so much negativity around apartments and the low capital growth and the this and the that and the other, yeah, sure, it can have low capital growth. I mean, I saw one the other day in Preston where the capital growth was almost 4%.
Yeah.
Like from when they bought it in 2017 to when they sold it now is close to 4%. That's good.
Really
that
good.
Is a,
wow.
That is a great.
I've seen some townhouses that haven't performed that well.
Exactly. I've seen heaps of properties that haven't performed that well. So, and that can be a little bit of, you know, lack of timing and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's don't sleep on apartments.
No. I mean, yeah. I was going to tell you one other story about
go on.
a client that because
in Windsor.
Well, yeah, because
go.
And we say this often to ourselves, but the clients that just kind of put a bit of faith and trust in us and our advice win.
They do.
They really do win. And I thank them and I want to like give them a big, I was going to say kiss, but that's too much. A big hug.
It depends. Some of them are pretty cute.
No, I haven't wanted to kiss any of my clients. But
neither have I actually.
No. Yeah. I don't know.
I think because of the power dynamics off.
Oh, I've got a professional boundary.
We're too topping.
Yeah, I'm not fish.
We are.
Yeah.
But also the professional boundary, obviously.
But this amazing sort of townhouse thing in a property in Windsor, older style, built early 2000s, and it was tenanted. It was presented poorly. There was a not long lease, probably 4 or 5 months, which does deter a lot of first home buyers, which is your sort of target market, which actually we're going to touch on in another episode about how to sell a property and do it right and do it wrong, like tenanted, owner occ, blah, 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 vacant. But they just like saw it. They had the vision and they've sent me a few photos since. And
I
like
know.
I organised a paint quote and the flooring quote, and they've done it all, and it just
Keep in mind, this guy is a Renaissance painting, like life
superstar.
drawing
Yeah.
teacher. So just keep that in mind.
He had the vision, but like
Yeah.
even the people that were purchasing with him, like they just really leant into like,
Yeah.
you know, they were a bit nervous about if we're too close to Chapel Street
Yeah.
or the area because they're from a different area, but they just like listened. We're months down the track and they're just so happy.
So happy,
you
yeah.
know, the family members, the painters so happy in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's the thing when the happiness builds over time. You know you've
my
done
God.
the right
It's
thing
actually
by
giving
them.
me some goosebumps right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so hope we have taught you some
I
key
feel like we
takeaways.
did.
Yeah,
I really feel like we
quality.
did.
Enjoy.
We've got to put the name of this episode as something really clear. Buying an apartment, listen to this first. You know, something just very clear. Like,
I
guys,
like the how to not F up an apartment.
how to not F up buying an apartment. Yes.
Yes,
Yep,
no.
Yep,
Anyway.
Could. We might put it on the workshop.
Yeah.
Okay, F, marry, kill.
Cool. Are you doing me?
Yeah, I'll do you.
Okay.
So 1970s, 1930s or 2000s?
Oh, okay. I'm definitely, because the 1970s block was my first love. That was my first purchase. I'm marrying that. It did well for me. I loved it. I think I'm effing the 1930s because there's something glamorous, but I find a lot of them very impractical. The floor plans are impractical.
Separate kitchens.
Heavy triple brick walls that I'm not knocking out. It's just like, I'll have a one night stand with you, but that's all. And then I'm going to kill the 2000s because it's just too unpredictable.
Yeah.
There's some good ones, but there's some baddies.
Yeah. I'll F the 1970s because those low ceilings, mate. I'm a one night wonder with those low ceilings. Get me out. But I love the floor plans and I love the general size and I love the window sizes. That's what I love mostly about them.
Mm-hmm.
But the ceiling height, get me out. Popcorn ceiling. Bleh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I will marry 1930s because of the glamour and because of the curves and because of the
That's yeah.
Oh, it's everything. Love, 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 love. I have seen some stunners recently. Amazing. Under 800 grand, 3 bedrooms, massive, like 100-something square meter. Amazing. If you want to know where they are, give us a call. The 2000s, you've got to kill them. I will say what I like about them though. The modern, the fact of like if you're someone who doesn't know how to renovate or has no idea where to start, they're modern, they're ready to move into, they're fine. All you need to do sometimes is update the carpet. But they also generally have a much larger outdoor area. So all of the 70s blocks have got tiny little like 70 centimetre, 1.2 metre outdoor areas. Often with the 2000s, obviously we learned from that and we've got nice size, reasonably sized outdoor areas. So I think that's a positive to them, but I've got to kill them.
Yeah, okay, you've been way too diplomatic on those answers. Next time I want a bit more ruthless. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.